going on, Bulls fans? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, it is a fun one. We're going to be going over a Bleacher Report trade idea where they had Jevon Carter, Torrey Craig heading to the Milwaukee Bucks. And then also later on today's show, I do want to preview the Bulls Summer League as we kick off actually this afternoon versus the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's going to be a ton of fun. So I'm going to be giving you guys 5 things that I am looking forward to heading into this matchup. But before we dive into that all, guys, do you guys want some Summer League reaction videos here on the channel? I'm going to be willing to do an at-home video, just me chopping it up a little more podcast style, giving my instant reaction over the Bulls' first Summer League game versus the Bucks. So if you guys want those videos, just type me down in the comments section, trying to catch the pulse of the fan base on this one. But let's dive into the Bleacher Report trade idea. This is not a blockbuster move. This is not a needle-moving move, whatsoever. But it is interesting, and specifically from the Bucks front. But it is the Bulls receiving Pat Connaughton, a player I'm a big fan of, for Jevon Carter and Torrey Craig, 2 guys that, I think the Bulls should be looking to trade this offseason. But this is what Bleacher Report had to say on this trade. This is a longer quote, so stay with us. But this is what they said. They said Carter is working off a down shooting season, but Chicago's depth chart setup did not do him any favors. The Bucks will be able to tee him up for higher quality looks from distance. He has experience playing besides this core, and his return gives another viable point of attack defender on top of DeLon Wright. Craig is yet another familiar face at this time. Milwaukee should plan on keeping him for the entire season. He is shooting above 39% from downtown over the past 2 years, albeit on modest volume, and arms the Bucks rotation with another body to deploy against power wings and bigger forwards. He also remains one of the league's sneakier offensive rebounders. Chicago might push for second-round equity to take on Connaughton, who has 2 years and $18.8 million left on his deal with a player option in the second year of that contract. But Milwaukee can only deal its 2031 second. This return isn't splashy enough to go that far out. And, when I first got this trade, I immediately thought about it from the Bucks' perspective. Like, why would they want Jevon Carter? Why would they want Torrey Craig? Well, their backup point guard right now is actually a free agent. That was Patrick Beverley. So they need some insurance, on Damian Lillard, as he has been injured over the last couple of years. And, maybe Father Time could tap Dame on that shoulder, and they could be looking at Jevon Carter as just another guard, good point of attack defender, can knock down the open three in the flow of the offense, and maybe he can come in, give them a solid 15, 20 minutes a night and help Dame not, have to carry that offensive volume. But, Carter actually had a decent stint with the Milwaukee Bucks. He played 2 seasons there. Back in the 2021 season, was traded over there. Stats aren't going to blow you away, but he was very efficient. But 5.6 points, 2.1 rebounds, 2.5 assists. And then 2 seasons ago in 2022, he was pretty damn good. 8 points a night, 2.5 boards, 2.5 assists, played 81 games. He was fantastic for the Milwaukee Bucks. So there's familiarity there. They need a better point of attack defender on that side of the floor. They need more shooting. Jevon Carter checks both of those boxes. But what about Torrey Craig heading to Milwaukee? Now, obviously, us Bulls fans, we think about Torrey Craig and we think about the double dunk attempt when the Bulls were down 7 in a late regular season game versus the Knicks, and he tries to go off the backboard to himself and misses the dunk. But that's another story for another day. But I actually do think Torrey Craig would add some value to the Milwaukee Bucks. They have solid connecting pieces offensively, and Chris Middleton, we'll see what he has left in the tank. But, Torrey Craig, just a solid 3-and-D guy, actually shot very well this past season from downtown for the Bulls at 39.2%. So I think he could be of interest to them. But let's kick it from the Bulls side of things here. They will be receiving Pat Connaughton. And, Pat Connaughton, he's one of those guys, he's going to give 110% effort every single time he's out there on the basketball court. And the stats aren't going to blow you away, only averaging 5.5 points. Honestly wasn't the most efficient basketball player, and I'm sure Milwaukee's, regretting a little bit giving him that longer-term deal a couple off seasons ago. But the one stat I do want to point out with Connaughton, his points per spot-up possession, and this means every single time you're catching the ball with a defender closing out on you, how many points do you generate per that opportunity? He was actually in the 69th percentile in the entire league at 1.1 points per spot-up, which I think from the Bulls side of things could be very useful with, you're going to have Josh Giddey, Kobe White, beating all of these guys off the dribble and just getting the defense in rotation. You're going to want better play finishers, and that's what Connaughton is. You would, wish that catch and shoot 3-point percentage was higher than 33.3%, but he was very solid from the free throw line down. I mean, these are numbers that, very physical forwards put up at 63.2%. So, in terms of this trade, I'm not in love with it. I don't think this would be a huge move for the Bulls or the Bucks by any means, but it is an interesting thought, and it helped the Bulls move off two guys who weren't that effective for them this past season. But you guys let me know, would you accept this deal? Give me an A for accept or a D for decline. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. All right, let's break down the Bulls Summer League, as I cannot wait for the Summer League game. That's going to be happening in a couple hours now versus the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm super excited for it. So I got 5 things that I am, pumped up to look at. And, the first thing we could talk about here is we're going to get our first look at Matas Buzelis, the Bulls' first-round pick number 11, hometown kid. Grew up in Hinsdale. Grew up in Hinsdale where he played his high school hoops at too. But specifically, what am I looking for with Matas? I want to see his defensive impact. By far none. I think with his just natural athletic ability, with his natural size, you would assume he's going to be a plus defender day one in the NBA. And one of the biggest cons around him was his catch and shoot shooting. This past season with the G League Ignite, shot under 30% from downtown. So just seeing him in a couple of those actions later on today, that's going to be what I'm looking for. Then also the playmaking ability. He's got great handle for a bigger forward. And I'm kind of hoping he would develop into that, defensive-minded, playmaking, archetype of forward that we see in the NBA as they're incredibly effective. Those types of players, I honestly feel get undervalued as, we like to go with more flashy, scoring forward route. But I think, Buzelis has definitely some potential there. And then just shot creation. Didn't do a whole lot of that with the G League Ignite this past season. So want to see what he has in that department. Then also effort. He talks about playing hard. He talks about how, all the effort he gives every single time he's out there on the basketball court. I want to see it. I want to be able to feel it when I'm watching these Summer League games. So I'm super excited to watch him play and just, hopefully see him just develop from, this first Summer League game to where he will be, in a couple years from now. But let's talk about second-round pick last year for the Bulls, Julian Phillips. And, for me, I'm just watching, here is just how has he developed from what we saw him, during the regular season and last Summer League. And we know Julian Phillips, freak athlete, very active defender, and he just didn't really get a chance to crack this Bulls rotation this past season. I mean, he only averaged 8 minutes a game, was only actually dressed for 40 of the games this past season. He wasn't the most efficient, but we saw flashes. I mean, I think back to that two-handed block he had against the Portland Trailblazers where he went up, two hands, pinned it up against the glass. It was fantastic. So, with him being an older player on the Summer League roster, I'm assuming he's going to come in, be a lot more confident than he was last offseason. And I just want to see if there's anything that, we didn't see this past season that he's been working on this whole summer. So I'm very excited to watch him play. But how about, another not Chicago kid, but he played his college hoops for the Fighting Illini, Marcus Domas, and he is fighting for a spot on this roster. As it stands right now, the Bulls do have one more spot, remaining on this 15-man unit. But, my scouting report on him when I was watching him for the Fighting Illini this past season, he plays off two really well, doesn't, get to the lane, and he's playing off one, and normally that causes turnovers. He always gets to a set jump shot, can either help him, pump fake, drop the ball off to a big or whatever it may be, which also allowed him to have a really good turnaround jumper when he was in the lane. Not comparing him to SGA whatsoever when I'm saying this, but it is very SGA-esque the way he plays off two in the lane. One negative about him, he's got a very slow jumper, especially in the catch-and-shoot opportunities. It takes a huge wind-up for him to get to his release point. So that's something I'm looking at. Then also, kind of speaks to these first two. He uses his body really well, just gets one bump, can rise up, knock down a jump shot. And we actually saw him playing out the post a ton with the Fighting Illini. So if he has a smaller guard on him, can he get him down to the post? Those are just some things I'm looking at for Domas. But I do want to talk about the hometown kid, actually, DJ Stewart. Cannot wait to watch him play. He is he was a very highly touted high school recruit coming out of Whitney Young, actually, and then went to the Duke Blue Devils, played his college ball there, floated around a couple of G League teams this past season, more recently with the Boston Celtics. So I'm excited to watch him play. I'm sure he's fired up playing with his hometown team as, me being from Chicago. I couldn't even imagine playing even Summer League hoops with the Bulls. But listen, DJ in his freshman year at Duke, he was pretty damn good, and, it was a big reason why he got drafted to Boston, but he averaged 13 points a night, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 42.6% from the field. You know, that three-point shot was always that biggest question mark with his game, but hey, still shot it at 34%, which is obviously not great, but it's not terrible either. So I'm excited to see the Bulls have anything there with DJ Stewart, but pretty cool that the Bulls have a lot of hometown kids on this roster, like Matas Buzelis, DJ Stewart. I'm actually going to probably look up after this video if those two ever went up against each other, just playing in AAU in Chicago. I'm actually pretty curious about that one. But the one gripe I had with the Bulls Summer League roster was there was no Dalen Terry. And I understand it. He was a first-round pick from 3 drafts ago. I understand that's, it's normally the case that, those guys aren't going to be playing Summer League hoops. But it's not like Dalen Terry has, came on the scene and lit it up for the Chicago Bulls. He was barely in the rotation last season. I would have just liked to see him go out there, get some solid minutes, get some solid reps, and maybe just get some confidence going into Summer League hoops, as he would be one of the better players out there. So, a little concerning, or I shouldn't say concerning, but a pretty big question on why, Dalen Terry wasn't on this group. But, hey, man, I'm still excited to watch this Summer League for the Bulls. For the first time in a while, like, this youth movement and this rebuild is finally coming together for Chicago, and maybe, just maybe, we can get out of this purgatory zone in the NBA, and maybe some of these young guys will, help that out. But you guys let me know, who are you most excited to watch as this game is going to tip off in a couple hours from now? You guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. And make sure you guys are subscribed. Turn on those notifications. I'm going to be making a post-game reaction video, so stay tuned for that. Should be dropping, probably about 30, 40 minutes after the game. So hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. See you guys next time. Go Bulls.